But another area I'd like to look at is emotional first aid. And the strategies that you're mentioning, a lot of those are what I'd think of as emotional first aid. They're things that you can do fairly quickly that change your emotional state. And there's a really important insight here. It's that one of the things that will influence resilience is the state we're in. And I've got a picture here of 3 different states. So one state is a steady state. So when I'm feeling steady, it's like if you're interested in martial arts or Tai Chi, it's when your centre of gravity is above your feet and you're feeling fairly steady. If somebody was to knock you from one side, you'd be unlikely to fall over. When you're on edge, it's a bit like you're just a little bit not quite out of balance, but just on the edge of balance. You could be more easily toppled over. And we can be very aware of those times where we shift from being steady in ourselves to feeling on edge. We can have different kinds of edges. We can have up edges where we've got increased arousal, a pounding of the heart. We can also have down edges where we slump into a dip, where it's more like the freeze response activated. And I think also, though, that you can wobble up and you can wobble down. You can wobble up with anxiety and excitement sometimes, where you even get shakiness of your hands, where you get that overactivity of your sympathetic nervous system. Very important to recognise and understand, because also a resilient strategy here, you wobble up is where your heart rate speeds up and you can actually get a kind of what's been known as amygdala hijack. Part of your brain actually takes over. I think of it as the battle mode, the survival emergency mode, where people can flip out in high states of emotional arousal. But you can also dip down. You can have a wobble down into a pit where you collapse in your confidence or your enthusiasm. And a very important resilience capacity is to learn to steady yourself. And there's lots of different self-steadying strategies, and that this is a big part of resilience training. It's just recognising that whatever you face, you're likely to make a better response if you're more settled in yourself, if you're in a state of a more resource state rather than a wobble state. And so I think of that magic word abracadabra, and the first word of that abra is a thing I remind myself of when I need to steady myself. Is the A is for acknowledge. Looking around, acknowledging what's happening, whatever that is, but then also breathing. And I'm going to invite all of us listening, even whether you're listening to the recording, to take what I call a 3-breath pause. And what you're doing there is you're breathing a bit more slowly. And together, if we breathe in and breathe out, that's number 1. And breathe in. And we breathe out. I might actually raise my arms while I'm doing this and lower my arms. Raise while I'm breathing in. Breathe in. And breathe out. So that's a 3-breath pause. And I was very interested to hear of research that shows that one way to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your nervous system to do with settling and calming yourself, and if you think of the word parachute, that brings you into a gentle landing. Parasympathetic nervous system, particularly the vagus nerve, that slows your heart rate. One way to stimulate your vagus nerve is just to breathe out more slowly. So I was just thinking of Dr. Andrew Weil. He teaches he teaches a breathing technique, the 4-7-8. So you breathe into a count of 4, you hold to a count of 7, and you breathe out to a count of 8. It's another emotional first aid, self-settling strategy. And you'll have yours, you'll have your favourite ones. And it's a really good question. And if you're a practitioner, this is the kind of thing you might explore with your clients, or if you're with a team. It might be something you explore with a team, that you ask them, how do you settle yourself when you're feeling on edge, or even if you get a kind of a wobble state. How do you settle yourself? And really to explore that with people.